Good afternoon, everyone. We are in the home stretch of theCUBE's live coverage of the Snowflake Summit here at Moscone in San Francisco. I'm your host, Rebecca Knight, alongside Dave Vellante, co-host and co-CEO, co-founder of theCUBE. You do it all. I would like to welcome our last guests of the day, Dave Mariani, Chief Technology Officer at AtScale. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you for having us.
And Carl Perry, Head of Analytics at Snowflake. Welcome so much.
Thank you so much, great to be here.
So Dave, I'm going to start with you. I know you've got a little news to share, which we're going to hear more about, but for our viewers who are not as familiar with AtScale, tell a little bit about what you do.
So AtScale is a universal semantic layer. So we were the OG of a universal semantic layer. So been at this for almost 14 years now. So we established that category. And now things, everybody's talking about semantics now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been talked about a lot, but this year feels different. Why are enterprises revisiting the semantic layer? What's going on?
You know, I think that, in the beginning, right, a single source of truth has always been something that companies strive for. But in BI and business intelligence, you could sort of like get by with humans and process and sort of mask over some of the warts of confusion and inconsistencies. When you put agents that are headless, that are asking hundreds or thousands of questions, you can't get away with that.
Extremely literal.
you cannot get away with that anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think now there's a realization that you have to have semantics if you want to power AI and have it be trustworthy and accurate.
So Carl, from your perspective, and Dave, you and I have talked about this, but I want to ask Carl, why do you think it took so long for the industry to start talking about, we've been talking about it for a while, but actually start getting serious about it?
Yeah.
And what has changed? How has AI, generative AI specifically, changed sort of that conversation?
Well, I mean, I think Dave said a couple of things that really resonate with me. When self-service BI came to fruition, the way that companies dealt with this is they would build a model above the data and they wouldn't worry about the fragmentation that was present. This is actually how you get in an organization like a few number of like enterprise data models. And that's how they end up appearing to have kind of a cohesive, consistent semantic model. But the reality is the data underlying it doesn't have that cohesion, doesn't have that description. And so when you start using AI agents, which are not in BI tools, and they intentionally are running autonomously and driving workflows, that model has to be where the agents are residing. And it's not in a BI tool that sits above the data, it's actually where the data resides. And so I think that's the big shift. We've all known for a really long time that semantic understanding is incredibly important. And that's why you see it in every BI tool, and that's why AtScale built they were the OGs, the first solution around a universal semantic layer. But now people need it where their data resides, so that the agents and the BI tools can get the same exact answers without diverging.
Yeah, and I think that's that's absolutely right. And the one thing that you look at is that without a semantic foundation, LLMs, you want them to be creative.
Yeah.
You want them to be creative because they're your research assistant, right? And so you want them to explore the data, but you don't want them to be creative about the definition of revenue.
Yeah.
Or customer.
Yeah.
You do not want them to be creative over your data. So there's a realization that you want to pair the probabilistic nature of an LLM so it can be creative with the deterministic nature of a semantic query engine.
Yeah.
You put those two together and it's beautiful.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
So Carl, last year I think it was, you guys really kind of acted on that notion that you want to bring the semantics to closer to the data.
Yes.
Now you have hard news today. You guys both have hard news.
Yep.
What's the news? Oh, hang on. They're going to throw us out of here soon. We got to get to the news. So you're powering. What?
So the news is that we announced together. We have Snowflake Semantic Views for XMLA endpoints powered by AtScale.
Yeah.
So Snowflake Semantic Views for XML endpoints.
Powered by
on Snowflake, powered by AtScale.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to explain what that means?
I mean, I'll try to explain it, and then Dave can correct me where I get it wrong.
Okay.
So
let's go.
There's a ton of data that is in systems like analysis services and Excel, and Power BI also operates on this model, and there's a ton of customers that are using these technologies to drive their business forward. What AtScale has built is an enterprise grade and ready engine, semantic engine, that actually knows how to take queries or questions and convert them into what needs to be sent to those endpoints that speak XMLA. I mean, you guys have been doing this for years. And so the partnership made a ton of sense. AtScale has a solution that we can actually just integrate with and leverage to accelerate time to value for our customers, while AtScale can actually help even more customers at the same time. And so it really opens up the aperture for defining semantics once, getting acceleration with things like BI reporting, and leveraging it for other places like agents and Excel. So I think it's a really powerful partnership.
Yeah, so now you have, you just turn it on, so it's embedded in Snowflake,
Yes.
which is so great. So you got one DDL statement to enable it, and now your Snowflake Semantic Views get consumed by Excel and Power BI with a live connection.
Yes.
So all of those users out there, and there's a lot of them,
Yes.
especially with Excel, and you're going to be really surprised about that, Carl, as you see all your Excel usage all of a sudden, because they're left out of the equation right now. Because they can't really run Snowflake queries. Now they'll be running a Snowflake query just by interacting with Excel.
I mean, look, I totally agree with Dave. We have customers that are chomping at the bit to have an experience inside Snowflake that enables the rich capabilities that Semantic Views offer, but through Excel.
Yes.
And we have a line of customers who are super excited about the integration.
So take that one step further, because I heard the word Excel today in the keynotes, and I heard a lot of clapping.
Yeah.
So I think this is an untapped opportunity.
Yeah.
How do you think about that opportunity? How do you expect it to unfold? How large is it? I mean, it's every Excel user that's using Snowflake, right?
You know, I think you always see there's 1 billion Excel users out there, right? And so when we introduced Excel to AtScale and to our customers, all of a sudden we saw people doing analytics that never were doing analytics before. And so we see consumption on the data platforms like Snowflake skyrocket, because now you've opened Snowflake and that data to users who don't need to understand and be an expert in a BI tool like Tableau, or even Power BI for that matter. It democratizes access to data. And so AI, and now with AI and chatbots, that is like times 10. But just imagine, all of a sudden you went beyond experts with Power BI and Tableau to anybody with Excel on their desktop. It's a level of democratization that we haven't really seen up until now.
I agree.
So is the era of the dashboard over? I mean, just in terms of what customers are asking for and the kinds of analysis they want to do.
I'll answer first, and then I want to hear yours.
Maybe we'll disagree here.
I don't know. Let's see.
Let's see.
So look, I don't think the era of dashboards is over, because I think they have their place. Would you rather have somebody ask the same question 100 times, 100 people ask the same question 100 times, or is there a dashboard you could just go and get the answer and ask the question once? So there is a place for dashboards, but what I've seen myself when I pair a chatbot like Snowflake Intelligence or Snowflake Cowork, and I pair it with a semantic layer, it's kind of crazy, because the kinds of questions that basically the LLM can ask is like it can do it at much higher velocity. So you reach a new level of person who can just type or even speak a natural language question. So the democratization is what we saw with Excel, but like I said, times 10. It's crazy.
What do you think, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think that most of the large players in the dashboarding space are coming from technology that's 10, 15, 20 years old in my mind. So they start with reports that are curated and they share those. I think that you need to invert this situation. Of course there's a need for curated insights. That's absolutely true. That's first defined in the semantic layer, and then it's exposed through reports that people build or dashboards. But that's not the thing that's actually going to change and empower businesses to truly make more value out of their data. It's starting with an agentic natural language experience on top of your data, and that's what Snowwork does, number one. Coco does that as well, and this is the key. You start from that point. You don't start from the curated insights. Those are needed, but that's not actually the revolution. The revolution is anybody in the enterprise can now go and ask questions and build things using these things, and it never would have been possible before. So I think dashboards will have their place, but I think they're falling to the wayside as the thing that will truly revolutionize what happens.
And I would say, I think static dashboards are dead.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Because I think you're right, that curated dashboard You don't want 100 people, 1,000
Yeah.
people asking the same question, but I mean, because I go back to my same dashboard, but I want to know other things. And I want to talk to it and make sure that the data that I'm getting is accurate.
Well, that's exactly the thing. So usually people will build dashboards to share insights. And of course, that should happen still. What needs to happen is people need to be able to ask the questions with the curated insights, to be clear. So that's the way it starts, instead of from the dashboard sharing and then trying to get answers from that.
Yeah, what I've seen, Carl, is that people who are using a chat interface, they'll do visualization, but the chatbot will do the visualization for them. So they're not like, okay, now build me a bar chart. Oh, now I want to turn it into a pie chart. No, it's doing it. The LLM is doing it for them.
Yeah. And I think my takeaway in the last couple of years at Snowflake Summit is you're moving from analytics that tell you what happened, maybe a little bit why it happened, but really deeply why it happened. And what if I do this? What's going to happen? And let's model out what my best action is. What should I do next? And how does that play out? And that's where we're headed.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I think people want to know not what happened 2 weeks ago or yesterday. That's valuable. What they want to know is, how do I use my data and my business to be successful next week and next month, and what do I need to do to help my customers then? And so I think that, I do honestly believe that AI enables us to ask these types of questions and get these, what should I be doing insights that's going to help my business drive forward? And again, I think it's revolutionizing how people think about insights in their data.
You know, Carl, I want to ask Carl a question, because one of the things
Give
that we
the mic to Dave Mariani.
one of the things we haven't seen yet, right, is that we're still dealing with sort of the first wave of basically using AI for the humans to ask questions. I'm more interested in, like, once you have headless agents to actually act on that data. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to ask the questions, but then they're going to take the answers and do something with it. Where do you see that going?
I 100% agree. I think that people will have their own personal agents that they use for work and potentially personal life. And they'll ask those agents to go do things for them. And those agents will spawn off workflows that other agents are driving. And as we get more confidence in the data, and again, that's where a semantic model starts and gives us confidence, these workflows will be driven by and completed by these agents autonomously. There's a lot of work left to get to that point, but that's absolutely where we're going, where my personal agent is helping me be 10 to 100 times more productive.
And there is I just wrote about this, there's a similarity to the PC era, which was really driven by personal productivity. I mean, the difference was from the CEO, thou shalt go AI native, make it happen. And now it's bubbling up on a personal productivity level. And it's maybe a necessary step, but I think, I would predict we're going to have personal islands of intelligence, and it's up to the chief AI officer or chief data officer, whomever, to make sure that there's a substrate of knowledge across the organization so that we don't have, we bust those silos, which this industry has never really done a good job of.
No, but Dave, if there's not a governance layer, and that's really where the semantic layer comes in. Without governance, it's off the rails, and the enterprises won't let anybody do that. Especially headless agents. So you can't skip that step. You can't skip the governance step. You got to have control plane.
But shadow AI will happen. But it's up to, like you're right, Dave, the governance has to be there, but somebody's got to make sure that the enterprise architecture is designed for a new organizational, new operating model, essentially.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, I think the hierarchical structure where we're organizing around departments and humans will dissolve. Maybe not overnight, but I think eventually we'll be organizing around intelligence. And that has to be governed intelligence.
And you know what? I see some enterprises start with, let's lock everything down, and then we'll just open up these doors for people to ask. I think that's the wrong model, right?
I agree.
You've got to say everything is open, and we have to be confident that our governance infrastructure can make sure that the data doesn't get into the wrong hands.
So that's why shadow AI exists, is because the enterprise doesn't give the people that need to do the things data.
And this is a flip on governance, right? Governance used to be a blocker, and now it's an accelerant.
It absolutely is.
You got to do it with the semantic layer, baby.
You do, you do, you do.
Excellent. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, such a great way to end our
Great
first
day one,
day
Rebecca.
here at Snowflake. So thank you both so much for coming on the show.
Thanks
Really
for having
appreciate
us.
it.
You bet.
And I
Appreciate
also
it.
I should give a shout out to your T-shirt because it's
I gotta get a-
Snowflake Semantic Layer has a new superpower.
I gotta get a picture of this.
It's pretty
Awesome.
cool.
Here we
it's
go.
pretty cool.
Thank
It's our
you.
superpower.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you
you
guys.
so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We'll be back tomorrow with more of theCUBE's live coverage of the Snowflake Summit. I'm Rebecca Knight for Dave Vellante. You've been watching theCUBE, the leader in enterprise tech news and analysis.